Hi, thanks for joining me today. It's Froggy Friday! And this is part 2 of my Trippy Froggo tumbler. We are making the tumbler today. I hope you like it. I'm starting off with my 20 ounce skinny straight sublimatable from Stainless Steel Depot. And now I'm trimming that super trippy psychedelic vinyl that I got from Butterfly Lane Designs. Sadly, I have learned that my trimmer does not trim a straight line. Kind of a bummer, but it's okay, I work around it. We end up trimming the vinyl once it's on the tumbler as well, so not a big deal. Froggy Friday is a weekly collaboration hosted by several awesome channels. As always, the playlist will be in my description. Don't forget to watch all the other really cool videos. Now I'm going to trim a little bit of the backing of the vinyl, and this is so that we can use the hinge method to apply the vinyl. All that means is that we leave one tiny part exposed. The rest of it won't stick to the tumbler while we line it up. Once we get it lined up where we want it, we stick down the exposed part, and then we go from there. I could not get this right. I don't know what my problem was that day. When I tell you I rode the struggle bus, I rode that struggle bus all the way across the country. I was so annoyed by the time this was done. I finally get it laid down where I want it, and I start to use my squeegee to push back the vinyl. And look at those bubbles and wrinkles. I have to lift it up again and do it one more time. Are you kidding me?
I can't breathe.
I composed myself, and I just had to do this one very little bit at a time. I will say that I've never worked with holographic vinyl for a full wrap before, so it's probably user error. I just don't really know how to use holographic vinyl. Regular vinyl, you can kind of stretch and pull and do this, and I don't think you can do that with holographic vinyl, so lesson learned. I was super relieved when it was all done. I did have some bubbles I needed to pop with my craft knife and go back in and smooth down, but for the most part, it turned out okay. The next challenge is to trim the overage in a straight line. I cannot do that. I'll never be able to do it. So I use the painter's tape method as a trick. Did I try hard? Yes. Did it work? Absolutely not. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Right now, I want to trim the ends of the vinyl. And this is a tumbler trimming tool. That is a tongue twister. It's a really good thing I'm not drinking while doing this. Anyhow, it's a great tool to have, and I highly recommend it if you're going to be doing any sort of vinyl work on tumblers. I think I need a new blade in it. It seems like it's pretty dull. Now it's time to address the parts of the tumbler that are showing beyond the vinyl. I decide to use the alcohol ink markers because I like to torture myself. I wanted to do green because it matched the background. The top part ends up changing. You'll see that later. Using my favorite sealer, we are going to seal in all of the vinyl. Holographic vinyl is really good at repelling resin, so we want to seal it in to give the resin another surface to sit on. I do one coat of this, a thin coat, I let it dry, and then I did another thin coat over that and let that dry. Because I am a glutton for punishment, I decided to make a 3D element to go on the side of the tumbler, and it's going to be a trippy little mushroom. The neon purple will be mixed with white in a marble to make the mushroom cap, and the neon green, I'm doing the same thing, and that will be the stem. I have no idea why I flattened the white out like that. The white Sculpey is Sculpey Premo, and the other two colors are Sculpey 3. Sculpey 3 is way softer than Sculpey Premo. I didn't have to condition the colored clay at all. I make two little sausages and I twist them together and then fold it over and do the same thing again until I get the marble where I want it. And then I'm shaping that one for the stem. Heads up when using darker clay and you're using that with lighter clay, it can definitely give the lighter clay sort of a tinge of color. Now it's time to sculpt the mushroom cap. If you watched my toadstool jewelry hanger video, which if you haven't watched it, you should, you'll know mushroom caps are my kryptonite. I cannot shape them properly. I have no idea what my problem is, but this is something I just can't do. I finally was satisfied with my mushroom cap, and now I'm deciding how I want this to sit on the tumbler. And I'm just going to have it right up against the tumbler, so I need to shape one side of these to my baking tumbler. This tumbler is only used for baking polymer clay. Here it is. It's all done, and it looks awesome. But am I satisfied? Nope. I decide it needs to glow in the dark. So I'm using gloss varnish and designer epoxy alien green glow powder to paint the green parts only of the stem. That actually ends up looking really cool, and I'm really excited to do the cap. You're going to see why right now that's a problem. That is not purple in color. The alien green is green in color. You can see that in the upper right hand corner. So I'm going along and I'm like mixing my purple, having a good time, and I start painting it on. Watching the Giants game, happily painting. Can you see the problem? That is not going on purple. I didn't think about it. I don't know why I didn't think about it. And more importantly, I didn't stop. I have no clue why I didn't stop. The Giants were doing so well against the Astros. I just got distracted. We're going to say that. But look how white it is. I know I'm going to have to fix this somehow. This is the spot I want for my mushroom. Typically, the tumbler will be held in the middle, and so I didn't want that to get in the way of holding it, and I don't want to put it near the bottom because then I risk it not fitting in cup holders. So that's where it's going to live. And I'm using UV resin to adhere this. Now, I do need to give you a disclaimer. UV resin is not glue. Sorry, that was a bit of an inside joke for the crafty YouTubers United. But what I'm doing is painting the outer edge of this with the UV resin, and then I flash cure as I go. This is going to adhere it to the vinyl and prevent any bubbles from coming out into the resin when I coat the whole thing. Time for resin, and I'm using MNG Supply Co.'s Speed Dry Epoxy resin. This will be fully cured to the touch in 4 hours. And it is an epoxy resin designed specifically for tumblers. It's really important that you use epoxy resin meant for tumblers because it's much thicker than casting resin. That's a lot of bubbles, but we don't need to worry about it. That's to be expected because this is a thicker resin. We will get rid of those with our torch. I start by giving the mushroom a nice light coating, and then I go for the rest of the tumbler. I ended up using less than 10 milliliters of epoxy for this entire tumbler. I would rather do 3 thin coats of epoxy than 1 thick coat. I much prefer my tumblers not be super bulky, and this is how I avoid that. Here I am, popping bubbles. This will spin and cure for 4 hours, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Time to address the mushroom cap. Alcohol ink is transparent, so I'm thinking if I can go ahead and color over these parts with the purple alcohol ink, it will still glow and will look purple. That did not work, and neither did the other 2 colors I tried. So I gave up and decided I was going to coat the whole thing, just the cap, not the stem, with the glow powder mixed in with UV resin. I'm going to do thin coats, cover the whole thing, and cure them so that I can give it an all over glow. And then I'll go in with the alcohol ink over the darker spots. Because the layers are so thin, that purple glow powder doesn't look opaque at all. You're going to see in a minute what I did with the bottom. It looks super cool. And then I go and I royally it up. This wasn't really my fault all the way, but it happened regardless. I hope you don't like this, because this is gonna go away. I'm sanding down the rim so that I can get rid of any stray epoxy and expose a little bit of the metal underneath. That way our next coat has something to grip to and will really seal everything in. Still looks okay. I added drops of alcohol. Don't get used to this one either. I decided I wanted the top of this to actually be the same purple color as the mushroom cap. I tape it off so that I don't accidentally cover over any of the vinyl. As we know, I'm not good at doing anything that requires a straight line or a perfect circle. This isn't quite the color of the mushroom cap because I already had a layer of green alcohol ink underneath, so it turns this really unappetizing, almost blood color. If you're wondering why my spray sealer did this, I'm right there with you. Never had that happen before, but the awesome bottom of this is ruined. I don't feel like going back, wiping it off, and starting over. Dried blood was not the look I was going for here, so I'm going to put some glitter over it. I'm using Tack glue, and it's going to look almost like a drip. I toyed with the idea of doing a glow-in-the-dark drip at the top of this, but I was not about to tempt fate on that one. When the Tack glue is dry, it becomes very sticky. I sprinkle the glitter over it at that point, and I sort of rub it in. Once I have this fully covered, I will go ahead and seal this in with my binding potion and let that dry for 45 minutes. I gave this tumbler one final coat of epoxy, and she is all done. I'm so excited to use this. I can't wait. This tumbler is funky and groovy and psychedelic and super trippy. It is right up my alley, and I wish I had a dead show I could take this to. It would be very popular. The topper is perfect. I love it with the tumbler. I have to say, I'm really happy with how the mushroom cap glows. This whole thing looks great glowing in the dark. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for being here with me today. I hope you liked it. Thanks for hopping by. I'll see you soon.